So we're talking today about social media and kind of different ways to use it professionally, using it in a college atmosphere, and so forth. So if anyone doesn't know me, I think everyone in this room does, but my name is Carrie Votor, and I'm the outreach librarian here.
Nice to meet you, Carrie.
Yes, and you as well.
And my name is Nikki Gothier, and I'm a career counselor in the Career Center.
Kind of what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about what social media entails. What do we mean by social media? What your accounts say about you, what you're displaying to the world with your social media accounts and the things that you're posting. And then how to use social media to connect to other professionals in your field and how to connect to students that you're working with.
So I just want to start off by introducing us to, why we're talking about this and why this is so important. And I think everybody knows that, the power of social media in our global society has really changed the way that we live, the way that we work, the way that we communicate with one another. And we see that probably nowhere else more so than on a university campus, on a college campus with college students. It has become really the major communication vehicle for students, not just to communicate with friends and to keep in touch with family back home, but to really engage in their studies and their academics and to do their work and engage with faculty. So it's really important for us as university administrators or faculty or professional staff that we become aware with what they're using and what they're using it for, why they're using it, how we can use different mediums of social media to best help them and meet them where they're at. I'll talk a lot about meeting the students where they're at. That's definitely a current trend in higher ed, being able to do that. And one of those big areas is within social media. So meeting those students where they're at, and also so that we can use social media appropriately with our students and not just jump on the bandwagon of social media and say, okay, because they're using it, I'm going to use it all too, even though I don't exactly know what I'm doing here. So these are some categories, explanations, and applications examples of social media. You shouldn't look at any of these categories as discrete or separate from another, but rather they're really all connected and they intersect in a lot of ways. So for example, YouTube is a content community, but it also shows podcasts and videos. So a lot of these overlap and connect with one another, but we just wanted to give you a brief idea of some of the things that are out there.
All right, so sort of how social are you, right? So these are just a few of the different types of social media that we'll be talking about today. There are a billion others, as you saw from these things. I mean, there's a lot of different types of social media out there, and the definition of social media is a pretty broad one. Everything from, Google Docs, which I think most of us use professionally just in the office, to something like Facebook or Twitter or whatever that you might use for fun and in your personal life. So we're just going to give a little brief intro. You're probably familiar with most of these, but just kind of what it is and some of the best reasons to use it. Do you guys both have Facebook accounts? Okay. So this is kind of more ideal for sharing photos, thoughts, articles. You can post things and everything. Staying in touch with people that you probably know who they are, whether you know them in person or have met them virtually for some reason, but you don't necessarily see every day. Communicating through the Messenger app or the Messenger function on it, and organizing events. You can create events, invite people, make them private if it's like a family function or something, or make them public if you want to really open it up to, say, the entire campus. And feel free to, there's only, interrupt me if there's any questions or anything. Twitter, do you guys both have Twitter? No. Okay, so neither. So Twitter is good for sharing kind of thoughts and links. You can share photos, but it's not always as intuitive as, say, Facebook or some of the other accounts. It's also good for passively following others. So you can follow people that you don't necessarily know, and it's not like you're necessarily creating a relationship with them, but you're getting information from them. So if you follow a news source, a celebrity, somebody that is posting a lot of information that you find interesting, you can follow them without kind of feeling like you're friending somebody or starting a relationship you don't really want to meet. You can create a more widespread conversation. So when you put something out in Twitter, everyone on Twitter could read it if they find it. If they do a search or if you tag something or whatever, people can find it. And the use of hashtags. And hashtags, which are capable in multiple different types of social media, is when you have that hashtag in front of it and then some sort of term. What that does is anyone that adds that hashtag and that code to their post, you can then link between them. So you can click on a hashtag and say, oh, these are all of the people that are talking about this topic. So it's nice for, like, you know, if you're watching the Oscars and you want to see everyone talking about, you know, that dress that crazy person just wore, you can click on a hashtag for Oscars and you can see everyone posting about it, whether it's just a normal person, whether it's somebody that's there or whatever. So hashtags are a nice way to kind of connect things.
Just like average Joe people follow other average Joe people on Twitter, or?
They do, yeah. A lot of times it'll just be really random, and people, they might see things like whether, you know, you've connected through a hashtag and they see what you're posting and they might follow you. It's a lot more anonymous in the sense that you're not quite as, you know, you can have a picture and stuff, but like your Twitter handle is not your name. Yeah, exactly. Or it's as vague as you want. So you can, you know, there's a little bit of anonymity to it, and it can be that sort of passive, oh, you post about stuff that I'm interesting. We're both into, you know, running, or we're both into movies, or we're both into, you know, the Red Sox, and so I'll follow you because you have some interesting thoughts on it.
There's a lot of Facebook posts. People will also add in a hashtag to that.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't quite figured out that. Is it any relationship to Facebook, or does it go back to Twitter? Or?
So hashtags are available on a lot of different mediums, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can put hashtags. They don't cross, so it's not like you're clicking on a hashtag on Facebook and it's showing you all of the things people are posting with that same hashtag on Twitter. But
on Facebook, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it should be clickable on Facebook. You know, and sometimes it can be, hashtags can be a trend, and you'll see, like, you know, sometimes it'll be political movements or whatever, but sometimes they can also just be kind of jokes. Somebody saying like, oh, this is, yeah, and this, you know, so it's sometimes you'll click on a hashtag and that'll be the only post that has that hashtag because they're trying to be funny.
You can see hashtags that are just very specific to one certain thing, or very long, you know, like, I'm so sick of this thing that I'm reading, hashtag,
right.
You know, and so you click on that and there's nothing else that comes up except for that post.
I'm also assuming that they will change over time. So if somebody creates a hashtag and then use it for 6 months, somebody else like come up with the same hashtag.
Oh, and people can use it for anything. I mean, there's nothing that time even stands it. So, you know,
go back over, you know, a long period of time.
It could be any different,
all different stuff. Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes they're good for, like, you'll see a lot of weddings nowadays. People will create a hashtag for their wedding so that if their friends
say I do.
Right, and so if their friends are taking photos, they post, you know, their pictures on Facebook or Twitter or wherever, and they'll use the hashtag so that everyone who went to the wedding can find things much easier.
And they can also then use those access those photos quickly and easily.
And that's interesting, though, if somebody were to use, I don't know, a recent one was like the one with March hashtag. So if they were to use that one on Facebook and then also on Twitter, if you clicked from it on Twitter, it wouldn't bring up anything on
That's
Facebook.
on Facebook,
right?
Yeah. They're that bigger movements. People are posting in both places.
The same thing. So you might be,
you know, they're so popular that you're getting them in. But yeah, you can't kind of get them from two different accounts or two different things. Yeah. So that kind of brings us into Instagram, which also has hashtags. Instagram, do you guys both have Instagram? Either of you have that? Yes. Do you have Instagram?
Yeah, I don't use it like for myself. I just like to follow other companies.
Sure.
I was trying to figure out how to unfollow something because it's beautiful pictures, but I get so many beautiful pictures I stop looking.
Yeah, so Instagram is more photo based rather than, you know, Twitter is more kind of text based, and Facebook is text and photo kind of combined. Instagram is really more photo based. You can also, as you were saying, more passively follow things, whether it's companies, whether it's you know, the national parks. I enjoyed it when that astronaut was in space for a full year, and he was posting things every day from up on space and his view of Earth, which I thought was really cool. Stuff like that. And you can also create a visual conversation by, again, using those hashtags. So you can, if you're going to a wedding and using that hashtag and sharing that, you know, you can add on to conversations that people are having as well. So YouTube, and YouTube is good for this. That's what it's good for. Corgi videos of them falling into pools, which is what I use it for. But it's good for videos. It's created for creating videos, posting them, sharing them, and also commenting on them. So it's not just you created it and you put it up there, or you're looking for a video and you go watch it and that's it, like a Netflix or something like that. It's also what makes it a social media account rather than just a media account is that people can comment on it, people can respond to comments, people can like or dislike videos based on you know, the content and so forth. So so it's you know, it's very similar to that, but you know, you can create an account and do it, post it yourself, as well as, again, following other people and professional companies and so forth.
And a quick comment on YouTube in terms of working with our students and what I see students using it for in a professional capacity these days from a career center perspective is a lot of employers, not a lot, but some are asking for video resumes. 2 to 3 minute clip that students upload to YouTube regarding why you're a good fit, which it does have some ethical considerations, but people are certainly doing it. And it's the same type of thing, you know, like PAs actually put their headshot on the top of their resumes as well. So that has some of similar implications, but it does give employers, you know, a better view into who you are rather than just a sheet of paper. So it's interesting, like exercise science, there is a company in Boston that asks, you know, why are you a good fit to be an intern for this company? And students have to make a 2 to 3 minute video resume. So in the digital age and the age of social media, we are seeing more of these types of requests, which although it does have some ethical considerations that we want to take into account, it is becoming more common.
And it's interesting that they ask them to upload it to YouTube, because then that video resume can be searchable to anyone.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And yep. The thought is also, though, that, you know, you're building this professional brand. You're from the start of these things, you know, so that if somebody, and we'll talk about this as we get a little further in, but if someone was to Google your name, you would hope that they would find examples of you as a professional, you know, and so students putting a video resume in a professional format out there, well, it's better than finding a video of them out at a bar for the students, right? You know, so it is a little interesting as we continue to delve into this social media age and the things that employers are looking for and asking for. It will be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because there are a significant number of people who look for a job while they're still in their current job.
Yep.
So if that was ever found by their current employer, it's just interesting that this YouTube is a platform they're utilizing.
Yep, definitely. So LinkedIn is, do either of you have a LinkedIn profile?
I have one, but actually I need to get in touch with career services to help me deal with it for quite a time now. I created it years ago and I haven't looked at it.
We're going to go over that in a little bit, so that maybe that will be very helpful. So LinkedIn, from a student perspective, when we work with students, you know, we tell them this is your professional Facebook. So it's different than regular Facebook, where you might accept all these requests from friends and people you know, people you have loose connections with. With LinkedIn, you really want to just accept and connect with people in your network. So whether that means in your industry, whether that means people that you've met, that you work with as colleagues, but you don't want to just accept anybody off the street. You want to be a little more selective and create that professional brand and that professional network. So that's what we recommend to students. We also recommend to faculty and staff to create a LinkedIn profile, again, to do similar things, to network with those in your industry and in the field that you're in, to keep up on current trends. You can learn about what's going on in the field. You can also utilize each other's resources. The hope of LinkedIn is to create these mutually reciprocal relationships where you can help others and they can help you in return, whether that means sending students that might be a good fit for an internship position or a job position that they posted, or maybe they can send information to you for a student that you're working working with regarding something that they were interested in. But it's a way to connect with your professional community. You can search for jobs, join different groups, something that a lot of us join as professionals, and also we encourage the students to join as the Springfield College alumni group. So a lot of times our students will be able to connect with alumni through this group and get information about jobs or the field that they're interested in going into.
And then Mendeley, which is more of tailored toward people who are doing research, the students that are doing research, faculty, and so forth. I know Sherry has used it at some amount in the past. Yeah. Have you ever used Mendeley or heard of it or anything? Okay, so Mendeley has a lot of different parts to it, but it's basically, it's a function that helps people who are doing research get all of their citations, all of their research that they're finding, kind of keeping it in one place. And there's a lot of tools, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but there's a lot of tools for helping, organize your research by topic, getting information to create citations, and it's kind of a storage organizational thing as well. But the web version of Mendeley, so there's like a web component and a desktop component, but the web component also connects you to people who are doing research. And there's social media, a capability where you can friend people who are doing research on similar topics. So if you're a psychology professor and you're doing research on schizophrenia, and you're looking to do a study or whatever, you can collaborate with a psychology professor at a college in Washington State or in a different country, and share articles, share studies, talk about oh, I did a study where I found this. Oh, well, then I did a study, and kind of go back and forth and have these conversations. So it's nice that they can do that, as well as, for the student end, if they're doing group work and, our students are busy with jobs and so forth, they can, then they can't meet one-on-one. This is a way that they can share their research and kind of collaborate online in a place that's really just designed to do that.
So at this point, I usually engage the students when I do a social media presentation in an activity called Google Yourself. So it's pretty self-explanatory, and you guys can participate if you want to. You don't have to, but it's really important. It's really important for the students and ourselves as professionals to Google our names. According to Glassdoor, 80% of employers are Googling the names on their resumes of candidates that they're interested in bringing in before contacting them to see what's out there. And it's interesting because a lot of times students will say to me, oh, well, or not a lot of students, but you'll have a student once in a while that will say, oh, well, I don't do social media, I'm not on there. That says something too, that you have no social media presence. So we're not saying, have no social media presence. We're saying have an appropriate social media presence. So what are the first things that come up about you say? What do you find? For me, the first thing that comes up is, these are the Nicole Gothiers. Actually, the first thing is Springfield College, the Springfield College link to my profile for the Career Center. The second one is, these are the Nicole Gothiers, the top 10 Nicole Gothiers on LinkedIn. And if you scroll down, and I'm one of them. The next one, something about a Nicole Gothier who's a fitness personal trainer that I am not, and I've never seen. So it's interesting just to see what's out there. And also, the other things that people that have your name could share with you. So just to keep in mind as professionals, if you have the same name as someone who's maybe in a field that's maybe a little precarious or not appropriate, you want to make sure that when you're engaging, especially students, with other people in your industry or in the business or sending out resumes, that you distinguish yourself in some way. So maybe you add your middle initial or something that demonstrates that that's not who you are when they Googled it, because you can run into kind of that difficulty. There's also, when you're on a desktop, usually not on your phone, but under the Google search bar, there's images. And you can also search in images, so you can search your name in images and see if anything comes up. I tell the students that, pictures that they posted on Facebook.
I don't know who this lady is, but she seems awesome.
Can come up when you do these types of searches. So you just really want to be aware of the brand and the professional image that you're putting out there and that is out there about you.
Myself, most of these are either pictures that of me, or in this case my son, in this case my dog, or pictures that pictures that I posted. These are all photos that I posted on, and if you hold your mouse over it, you can see this is a WordPress, is a blog that I run for the library. So these are photos that I posted that under my own name that are coming up. If you go back to the thing. So right now, the first thing that pops up is my Twitter account. Things that are coming up are charity things I do, Facebook posts. That is not my MySpace, but if I had a MySpace, if people still had MySpaces, this could have, yeah. That, you know, this is the blog for the library that I run. You know, these are blogs that I've written for charities that I am involved in and so forth. Apparently, I started a Pinterest account that I don't remember doing, and my page of the spring. So it's a combination. It's stuff that is work related, but there's a lot of social media in there. And it also is a good reminder to keep in mind that the stuff that you're involved with outside of work also can pop up on here, which luckily for me, it's mostly charity stuff. But, you know, if you're involved in something that's completely out there, you know, things can pop up.
And we tell students too, which I think this is a really good point, is that the Google search that a potential employer does for you, or a colleague or someone in your field, is like a mini resume, right? It's a quick way to see all things that you're involved in and the things that you put out there. So like Carrie's, I would say, wow, she seems like a pretty well-rounded individual. You know, she does charity, she's involved in here, she runs this blog. But those types of things for students are important too. You know, make sure, again, what's out there is things that you want employers to know about you.
So what does your profile say about you? So for you know, I know you guys at least have Facebook accounts and potentially Instagram, and if you start other things, but look at the stuff that you're posting. Are you posting a lot of personal or private information that you might be comfortable to share with, you know, close friends and family and stuff, but you might not want the people you work with to know, or people that you've never met to know, or students that you work with to know? Are you posting a lot of off-color jokes? Are you talking a lot about politics or religion or things that people that are divisive, or people that have very strong opinions? None of those things are wrong. It's not wrong to post those things, but you want to think about, you know, the type of presence that you have on social media, and then make decisions on share that with, that part of your kind of life and existence and so forth. And if you're comfortable with, you know, your colleagues knowing, you know, oh, I have a son and here's pictures of him, then that's great. If you're kind of more a private person and you don't want that information out there, maybe you do make that line, you know, that distinction between people I'm actually kind of socially friends with and people that I'm colleagues with, or students who are going to draw conclusions about. The other option, if you do want to connect with people on social media, but you're still a little uncomfortable with people knowing all of your business, is to really pay attention to the privacy settings. Every social media account has some amount of privacy settings. For Facebook, you can make your profile completely blank. All they can see is your name and your profile picture if they're not friends with you. And then once you say, okay, I'll be friends with you, then they can see more stuff. You can set up different layers of friends. So I have a friend who's a high school teacher, and she will accept, you know, she'll accept Facebook requests from her students, but she keeps them at a different level than she does people that she's, you know, adults that she's friends with. So they don't see all of the stuff that she's posting, and it's still keeping that kind of relationship available. You can make requests. You can make it so that folks have to request to follow you. So even though Twitter and Instagram are more of that passive, you know, thing where if you like a celebrity or news organization and you want to follow them to see what they're posting, you can follow them. But if you're a private person and you don't necessarily want everyone under the sun following you and you don't know who they are, you can make it so that they have to request to follow you, and then you confirm it. And so forth. So those are some of the different things. If you go onto your account, look for some sort of settings button, or sometimes it's a little gear that will allow you to open up your settings. You know, look for some of the different options for privacy. All right, so moving on to ways to connect colleagues, so other professionals in your field or people that you would like to work with. And the ones that we're going to kind of highlight are LinkedIn and Mendeley, which we talked about a little bit already, as well as something like Hootsuite. Have either of you ever heard of Hootsuite before? Okay, so Hootsuite is a really handy tool that it basically is a dashboard tool for multiple types of social media accounts. So if you have Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus and Instagram and several things, and you don't want to open up every single thing one at a time, it actually can combine those things together. And what's nice is that if you're using your accounts professionally, or if you want to share things to multiple accounts, you can actually write something or put a picture or something and say, I want this to be on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and you just check them off, and then it automatically posts it on all three of them. So that's nice that you can kind of combine everything all at once. And you can also use it for organization purposes. So this is a little hard to read, but this is what Hootsuite looks like on the computer. And what I like it for, especially for Twitter, if you've ever seen a Twitter feed, it's just one page, and it's just every single person that you follow on Twitter, everything, whatever the most recent thing is up on top. So if you are, people I'm friends with, newspapers or news organizations I follow, entertainers I follow, athletes or whoever, anything that's interesting, and they're all one right after another. What you can do here is you can make lists of people and say, okay, well maybe I'll use this one, and it'll just be people that I'm friends with. So people that I know, I'm interested in people talking about, their kids and their lives and so forth. And this one will be just about sports. So when I want to get an update on how the Red Sox are doing, I'll keep it all in this one. And this one is just news sources, so I can have it, and so it's just news and so forth. And maybe this one is stuff that people are directly talking to me, and so I'll keep it there so I can find it nice and easy. And so it's a nice way to kind of organize, because sometimes it can be overwhelming because there is no organization to social media. That's kind of the point for it in a lot of ways, but this is a way that you can at least organize those feeds.
And this is Hootsuite?
It's called Hootsuite, yep.
And because all of these are just Twitter feeds, right?
This one is, this is just one that I've grabbed online, but you can add other accounts, and it would have people's Facebook posts, and it wouldn't mark off if someone is, the only thing that it's not great with is posting photos. So if there's like a Twitter post that has a photo attached, or an Instagram, it's not great for viewing photos for it, although I think they've upgraded it a little while since then. So, but it's good for more the text-based ones or things that are kind of like that. And it's great for posting multiple things at once.
And interactions. So anytime somebody responds to a post, you could have just your interactions in one column.
And that's regardless of the platform, whether it be Twitter or Facebook or like that last column, for example, that you said, it would just show up all there.
Yeah, it would show. Yeah, exactly. Like this one has, if you can, it's hard to read, but this says mentions. So these are all things where people are talking to that person. So these are all tweets that are directed to that person, so they can see when people are mentioning them or trying to engage them in conversation.
Just draw from multiple social media platforms.
Yeah, and you can sit there, you can make it so that, it can be an all-encompassing thing. So, for example, this one is a hashtag. So if you were really interested in the Women's March movement or Black Lives Matter, and you wanted to know what the latest is at all time, you could make a column, and just any post by anyone that is using that hashtag, it would go there. And so you can see what the latest is on that particular topic. You could do the same thing with certain people. You could create a group of people, you're adding, them and so forth. So, a lot of functionality. You can create as many different streams as you want. And yeah, so it's something to keep in mind to kind of keep yourself organized if you have a lot of things going or you're trying to. What I like it for professionally speaking is that if you are following or friending a lot of professional organizations, one of these threads could just be, so for me, library professionals or other libraries that I follow so that I can see them. So it's not like I'm digging through a million, Twitter posts that are by everybody under the sun. These are all of the things that are related to my profession. And students can do that as well with whatever their profession is that they're going into.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn. I'll show you mine, some of the things that you can do. Again, just a reminder, some of the things that it's good for as professionals is to network with alumni, but also other people in your industry and your colleagues. Invitations to connect with different people. You can join groups. And again, like most social media platforms, there are privacy options. So you can determine, who you want to see certain things, who you want to interact with. Yeah.
Well, students who are graduating, it makes sense for the alumni, but part of what I'm interested in doing is, besides what I know more in my own field, I'd like ways to sort of have at least some sort of connection with graduating students that I've worked with. Would that be an appropriate thing for LinkedIn? Because being a librarian, they're not going to be in my field.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that it's things like that. Like I will connect with my students, even though they're not necessarily in my field, to show them several things. What an appropriate LinkedIn profile looks like, to show them how to appropriately post, what a profile should look like, and to have them ask any questions. Oh, really? I guess. Can I just?
That says join.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Got it.
I'm pointing at that. You can see it.
So, and actually they just changed how LinkedIn works, like last week, I think it was. So I was glad that I went to check while I was preparing for this presentation, because I was like, this looks completely different. So that's something to notice, that it is a little different. So I'm going to start on, up here is the tabs that you can use to navigate through. I'm actually going to go here first to view my profile. And this is what you're going to create as you start a LinkedIn profile. And so if you have a resume, that's something that you want to have on hand as you begin to create this, because it's going to make it a lot easier for you. So, you can upload a professional headshot. We do offer professional headshots in the Career Center if you need one, if you don't have one, if you'd like a new one, we're happy to help you with that. A lot of departments already do that. You're going to put your name and the title that you hold, where you work. You can also put a short, brief sentence. It's like a qualification summary that you find sometimes on a resume. Your top skills that you would like people to see right off the bat. What's different than LinkedIn from like Facebook or other social media platforms is that somebody can see when you viewed their profile. And you can see how many times someone has viewed your profile. So a lot of times on Facebook, students will just look at someone over and over, or look at different people that maybe they're just trying to learn some information about for whatever reason. Here you can see who's viewed you and how many times they viewed you. So you just want to think about that as you are looking. And right here it says 14 who viewed your profile. And if I were to click on that, then you'd be able to see who those people were. Who's viewing me?
Who's viewing you?
So like Madison Reiger, LaSalle College Office of Career Services, Sherry Gomez, who's a colleague of mine. So you can see, like I said, different people who are interested in you, which is also good as a professional if you're interested in changing careers or working somewhere else or looking for a new job. Like if I was, LaSalle College Office of Career Services looked at me interesting, maybe I should connect with them if it was something that you were looking for in terms of professional contact. So here, you can go down, it will tell you what you can do to strengthen your profile, to see add suggested skills. And of course you add skills that you actually have. You don't add skills if you don't have them, if they come up. So experience is the next section, and that's really going to be your resume. And you can put as much or as little as you want in terms of your past education. I'd say on LinkedIn, you're seeing more of like a traditional curriculum vitae as opposed to resume information. Curriculum vitae is just a lot longer.
Because mine is so out of date that it's going to take forever to do it.
And so that is totally an understandable reason, but it's also always good to get to the point where you can update it, because once you have it on here, unlike a paper resume, it's never going to go anywhere. And so you can just continue to update it on a regular basis, but it does take some time. So in the experience, and any of these sections, if you see right over here, this pencil button, if you click on that, that's how you can edit the section, and that's how you can add the information. What is good about this though is you don't have to figure out the format. So for example, if I was to go and add another experience, it creates kind of a template for me. So put in the title of the position, where's the company that you work for, the location, for how long. If you currently work here, you can tap that button, and then the description, which are like your resume bullets or your paragraph. So it makes it really easy. It breaks it down for you. So you don't kind of have to figure out how do I want to organize this or the format. It will do that for you once you plug in your information.
And so then it would just instead be, you have this position now. Oh no, so then okay, so it puts it just like that, how you have like.
It will organize it in terms of reverse chronological. So the most recent thing that you're doing to the oldest.
Gotcha. And so I know you said it's more like a CV versus a resume. So would you say that most would be to do more of a paragraph style versus bullet points?
So no, only my bullets. They're just a little bit longer than you'd normally see. It's up to you, whatever you feel is appropriate. But we do recommend on resumes these days to students that they stick to bullets and not paragraphs. So I would say it's kind of your choice. And here some of the descriptions are hidden, but you'll see some of them are much shorter. I just didn't put actual bullets with them.
A lot of larger companies are actually allowing you to submit job applications via your LinkedIn. So you don't have to upload a separate resume. They are able to import that directly.
Okay.
I have to do it twice.
Yep.
Right, and then the cover letters, but then you would just have to submit a cover letter probably.
Yeah. So usually they'll ask for a connection to your LinkedIn. Sometimes right now they're still asking for resumes as well, which is interesting, but some of them will do it alone and then also ask for a cover letter or a letter of interest separate.
Oh,
Yep, and then references as well. You can put your education, again, just as you would on a resume, and if you click to edit it, you'll see it will ask you certain questions. Again, you don't have to kind of figure out what you want to put in there. So this section is featured skills and endorsements. So this is different skills that you have, like mine are higher education, career development, career counseling. I think I have a few more, recruiting, early childhood education, coaching, public speaking. And then different people can endorse you for these skills. So they will click on, your skill. You can go to different people's profiles, and when you scroll down to see their skills, you can click on it. It will say, would you like to endorse? And you can endorse them if you know that person, if they're a colleague, and that's something that they're strong in or you've experienced them doing.
What I've heard about that is basically anybody can endorse something, so they really are meaningless. Because, somebody can randomly go to your profile and endorse it without even having known you.
Yes, they can endorse you for something that they wouldn't know about, which is interesting because I'm not really sure what the benefit of or why they would do that. And help you, sure. Sure.
So in other words, there's not a lot of validity to it.
Well, realistically, there is some validity in the sense that what you're putting there should match the experience that you have on your resume. So there is validity in the fact that, yes, I've done these things. Yes, I have experience in these things. And so it's kind of backing that information up in terms of who endorses you or clicks on that button. Those that you're putting out there. So it still comes from you and from your experience.
And would you say it looks bad if you have several skills listed and no endorsement?
I don't think so, because again, like she just said, it's skills that they need to relate somehow to your experience or to your resume. And then somebody can say, okay, well, I see here that she's not endorsed for early childhood literacy, but so where does that come from? Oh, interesting. In her experience, she was a master literacy coach for Massachusetts Reading Corps. Let me read a little bit more about that and understand. Oh, okay, I see where now that comes from. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you have the experience to back up any of the skills that you choose to highlight there. That's what's important. accomplishments, languages, awards, honors, publications, anything like that that you have can go under accomplishments. If you look over here to the right, there's also add new profile sections. And if you click down, there are some other things that you can add to your profile. So when you go to make yours, you'll be like, oh, I don't have those skills or abilities, or I don't have the accomplishments. You have to make sure that you go to add a new profile section to choose those. So you can choose not to have the skills and endorsements. You don't have to have, you can have whatever. This is your professional profile. You can have whatever you'd like, or you don't have to have what you don't want. These are the different groups that I'm following.
Group be in LinkedIn.
Group.
Why would Boston College, as a college, have a LinkedIn presence?
To connect with alumni, potential employers, prospective students, to, again, market themselves in a professional.
But as a follower then,
Yep.
what are they even posting that you would see?
So we can look at, we're going to go to my newsfeed next. Let me just make sure that that's as much.
And real quick, Nikki,
Yeah.
before you move
Yeah,
on.
go ahead.
So because when you click add new profile section, it only gave you the option to do what was the education.
I have most of them that they
So you do
offer.
have most of- okay.
Exactly. So if we go to home, this is where we're going to see our newsfeed. You would see on Facebook or Instagram or any of the other social media platforms. And this is where you can see the places that you follow and the people that you're connected with and what they're posting. So, for example, Boston College may post something about a position that they have available in one of their departments, or if they're looking for a professor, or they may even post about projects or research that current students are engaged in or doing, that other professionals in the field may be interested in knowing about or connecting to or working with them in some way. And as you go through your news feed again, you know, we remind them over and over that this is professional and to make sure that you're posting only professional things. You don't want to be, this is not the place to be posting personal photos or anything like that. So like I said, as we go through, you know, exciting news for CFWM, that's, Western Mass enhances presence of Bridge Street office for their organization. So Karen Zalazzo, who's a graduate student of Springfield College, posted when the sport and exercise psychology program was named among top programs. So that gets information about, so Boston College might do something like that, post when some of their programs have received notable recognition or awards or anything like that. Interesting. Kylie Martin, refer a student. We are actually doing it in the Career Center this semester, refer a peer day. So referring peers to the Career Center. So that's just interesting to see that. So it shows you like, oh, wow, seems like we are doing what other places are doing about certain, you know, we're in the trend, which is a good thing to be reminded of. So again, this is your news feed and you're going to see things come up, things that you follow or people that you're connected with. If you go to the next tab on top, my network. So this is where you're going to see, I can see who I'm connected to already. I'm also going to see, this is where I'll get invitations for people that ask to be connected with you. And I'll tell you, these three, I have not connected with them and I will eventually hit ignore because I don't know them or why they want to connect with me. So at this point, unless they sent me a personal message, a private message and requested me for a certain reason, I won't connect with them.
Nikki, if you look,
Yeah.
like, could you click on them?
Sure.
Their profile, or
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
that? So if you saw that maybe one was in your nursing industry, maybe they were a career counselor at another institution, but you don't personally know them, do you think you would accept them?
Yeah, so for example, this Manny Correa, he's a successful, result-oriented career and business coach. He was somebody that I clicked on when the other week when I saw that he got it, but what it seemed to me a little bit more was recruiting potential career counselors, and that's not at the point that I'm at in the stage of my career. So I didn't think that that was necessary for me at this point. But yes, absolutely. Remember, they will see that you clicked on it, so that may encourage them to maybe send you a message. If they see that you clicked on their profile, but you still didn't accept their request, maybe then it prompts them to send a message saying, hey, this is who I am. I was reaching out to connect with you because you're in my network or you know someone that I know, whatever the case may be, and then I could consider it.
Find them if you want.
Yes, you can. Down further, it's going to tell you people you may know. And here what it will tell you is, so these people have not sent me invitations. These are people that I might potentially want to connect with for some reason or another.
And Tracy Matthews looks a little
questionable, right? So here you can see, you know, what your connections are, who else is connected with them that you might know. In addition, oh, here, this is someone from Springfield College. So that's why probably they're connected with people in my network.
If you wanted to, could you look at somebody's mutual connections to see how you are?
Yes, yes. So right here, these 7 mutual connections, if I click on that, I can see why Andrea and I are, why we have, who we have as these mutual connections.
But
And then
that wouldn't show you if like you do their profile or anything. Like you just looking at connections.
no, but I can click on Andrea, and I know Andrea. I should connect with her. So I can show you her, I can go look at her profile and see, oh, okay, it also tells me here you both studied at Springfield College. And these are our mutual connections and information about her. And then I can make my decision as to whether or not I would like to connect her on LinkedIn.
It's just really, it's still going relatively strongly as a professional network, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So a lot of the others go up and down a little bit depending on, you know, what age and what's the popular thing with teenagers.
Absolutely.
It seems to be fairly stable.
I think so. And just like Bree said, you know, employers are using it more and more. They really are relying on it and considering it something that's professional enough that they're saying it can take the place of a resume. That we've never seen. We've never seen anything exist that can take the place of a resume. So I think that's pretty impressive about it as well.
I think it's pretty important to have a LinkedIn profile.
It's important to have an up-to-date one.
An up-to-date
Yeah.
one. Yeah, definitely. I would say that as a professional, especially in the field of higher education, and I'm sure many other fields would say that too, I think that it's definitely important to have a presence on LinkedIn.
It also helps with your Googleability on your Google page.
Yes.
Like if you're Googling,
Oh, the search.
absolutely. LinkedIn is one of my top things when I search my own name. It's right up there.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So I have actually received several emails in the past to my Springfield
Yep.
College email address.
That
saying
says, so wants to connect with you.
Yeah, but I don't think I have a LinkedIn account. And maybe I created one. But I have never.
So what do you think you would have had your name on there?
It probably would have been under my maiden name, which would have been Catherine Singh.
How do you spell your Catherine?
S-Y, or my Catherine,
Yeah.
Katherine. Okay.
Nope.
Okay, and then so try O'Connor. O'Connor. I know that's basically what my Google search looks like.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying about people like that. You want to make sure you distinguish yourself from all the other Catherine Connors if you can, you know, with the middle initial or something like that.
My name's a lot less common.
Sure. More than 10 pages of Catherine O'Connor's.
So let's say I don't have one.
Yep.
Is that possible?
Yes.
To receive those?
Yes.
Emails?
Yep.
Okay.
Um,
Now I just,
that's interesting though, actually, to receive the invitation to
I have my
connect.
Springfield College email address, which I know since I started working
So
there.
I would filter through these Catherine O'Connors and see if you're on there, because it's interesting to me that you would receive an invitation to connect on LinkedIn without a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
Because they
By locations.
Filter these results.
Yep.
No, Ohio.
so filter the people
Bye.
by connections.
Past companies might be a
Oh,
good idea to go.
That's interesting. Really?
It'll go.
Oh,
United States.
United States.
I don't know how much that's going to
I
help.
got 100 gone.
Let's see. Current companies. Where do you think you would have made it at? You think?
Maybe try Springfield College, because otherwise I don't know they would have gotten that email.
And maybe they can.
That's the other thing to be concerned with is that if you do receive an email
No.
from any social networking site that maybe you don't have an account,
Yeah.
just really click on the link, but actually go to the social networking site itself, log in, and see the request there.
Oh,
That way,
right.
in case it's malware, phishing,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah. Do you like these people that you're getting LinkedIn requests from? Do you know them?
Yeah, they're other Springfield College employees.
I'm trying to think of somebody that I know that might not be on LinkedIn and seeing if I could connect with them in some way. Back to my network. if there's anywhere that I can send, oh, here you go. Add personal contacts. So I could potentially add the contacts from Springfield College and then send emails to them to connect with me via LinkedIn. Do you know what? So like I could upload my contact list from my email and it would come here, and I could send a mass email to all those people in my contact list asking them to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, what if one was from Matt Wayland and
Yeah.
I'm not there, like I know Matt, but
Yeah.
I don't think that he would like seek me out.
Right.
To specifically
Send, gotcha.
So you're saying he probably just
Added his contact list from Google Contacts.
A lot of the contacts I'm getting these because people add
Did that.
contact lists and not really interested in connecting to me.
Right.
Or they use the app. In the app, when the setup process, if you don't turn it off, will automatically look at your phone contacts and then try to upload that. Say no.
Yeah, I don't add my personal contacts. I pick and choose based on who's on LinkedIn, who I want to connect with.
And when you first started it, did you just work on basically getting your profile how you
Yes.
wanted before you
Yes.
accepted anything?
Yes.
Or like requested
Yep.
anything?
Yep.
So if I go to get into my own file, there's a huge number of requests, and there's no way I can tell whether they're just random requests or somebody actually wanted to connect with me.
Well, you wouldn't know if they were random requests or people wanting to connect with you, but you would choose
Right.
who out of those people that you wanted to connect with. So the
Yeah.
other ones you could say ignore if they're random ones or you feel like they're random ones. So that's my network. So jobs, this is a section where based on your interests, the people you're connected to, the groups that you're following, they will report back on potential jobs that you might be interested in. Also, a lot of companies and businesses are posting jobs on LinkedIn. So here you can see these are things that they think that for some reason or another I might be interested in. Yeah, interesting, right? Philanthropic officer probably comes from my work with AmeriCorps. Contract recruiter working in career services. And look at this, what it tells me. It tells me that 2 Springfield College alumni are working there. I can click on that and see who they are.
And that's because that's a group that you follow on here?
Nope, that was from under jobs. These are based on all the things that I follow and the people I'm connected to. These are suggested jobs that I might be interested in.
But the Springfield College,
Oh,
is
yes.
that from your education
Yes.
piece
Oh.
or the group piece?
It could be either. It's probably though because I'm connected in the groups.
Gotcha, okay.
And see who works at this organization that is a LinkedIn member. It tells me LinkedIn member. It doesn't tell me who. That's interesting. But I could connect with them.
Probably not friends
Yeah,
with
they're
them.
probably not friends with them. But it does show that there is Springfield College alumni that work there.
It would probably send a request.
Yeah, it would. It would send an invitation.
And that's weird, it doesn't show their name or anything.
That could be their privacy options as well. Number one, I'm not connected with them, so I don't see what their name is. But number two, they may not want me to be able to find them in that way. So you can choose under privacy options how you want to be searchable, how much you want to be able to be searched, and that kind of thing.
Would you
Oh.
have any recommendations for that as far as what ideal privacy settings should be for LinkedIn? Because it is more of a career.
Yeah, we're going to look at privacy settings too.
Oh, sorry.
No, don't worry about it. That's an important question. I think that people are really concerned about that, especially even more so sometimes on their social media with their professional profile. Like I really only want these certain people to be able to see
Yeah.
things.
And with Facebook, it's so different because I think there's nothing wrong with being super restrictive in that regard. But with this, like, use it as a professional network. And if you're setting too restrictive, then it might not be being utilized in the best way, you know?
Right.
You could be a machine operator at the Coca-Cola.
Well, I'm definitely applying for that one. So actually,
Try different things.
I know, right? So actually, Carrie just reminded me, and I can't even believe this right now, but it's 11:59. And Carrie still has Mendeley that I want her to be able to get into, like maybe say a few things about. I know this is super valuable. I have some LinkedIn packets that I'm going to go grab for you right now, which I think may help answer some of these questions, especially about privacy settings. And of course, come talk to me. I'd be happy to meet with. We absolutely
really deal with my LinkedIn issue.
Absolutely. We totally can do that with either one of you, and we can go more into depth about some of these things. Sorry, Carrie.
No,
oh my
that's
gosh,
totally
she's
fine.
like, look at the time. I'm like,
That's
oh,
totally
I
fine.
just want to go grab those packets.
No, the fact that we were supposed to have faculty here and we don't makes it less of a big deal than Mendeley. But so we were talking about Mendeley before, about connecting with other professionals when it comes to more of a research component. These are some of the other things that Mendeley does. You know, it has, like I said, a desktop component that you can then download onto your desktop. It'll also create a tool on your browser. So if you're on a website and there's an article or something on a website that you want to use as information, you can just click on the browser tool and it will export whatever information it can to help create the citation and add it to your desktop version. It creates a plugin for Microsoft Word, so you can use it to create your citation list at the end, as well as in-text citations, depending on formats and so forth. And so, you know, it's something that's very useful. Whenever we show it to graduate students, they all get so excited. And so it's something that tool-wise, it's very useful, but also that sort of social component as well if you're doing research with people out there. Too much. I just wanted to point out that if this is something that that is interesting or could be valuable, that the library actually has a guide that we've created to kind of give a step-by-step process on how to download it and how to sign up for it and everything. And it's really follow and so forth. So so that's something that exists if we're interested in it. The rest of the presentation was really about talking how students are using social media. And I'm going to go through it really, really fast because I'm sure this is your lunch hour and you don't want to hear me talk about social media anymore. But so students are using, are learning in different ways and kind of using social media in different ways. And this was a quote that's from an article. I'll give the citation in a minute so you guys want to read it. It's online. But students want to teach and learn from each other rather than having an expert lecture to them. And social media is something that really allows that as well as from their professor. It flattens the classroom and kind of creates more of a collaborative environment rather than just I'm standing at the front of the class lecturing to you and you take notes and we'll have a test at the end. So
we talked about this. I mean, really, you know, they're all using social media. We see them walking around campus, heads and phones, texting, whatever it is that they're doing. So again, you know, it's just really important to try and meet these students where they're at in terms of our work with them. And trying to recognize what it is that they're using on a daily basis so we can best meet their needs.
Right. And this was just an interesting chart. It's from a few years ago, but what is interesting about it to me is that, I mean, there's a lot of obvious uses for social media here, connecting to friends who are at school, connecting to friends who are far away, so maybe they're friends from home versus their friends who they're with at school, connecting to family, and obviously those are very important, but they're also using it to learn about campus activities, to plan study groups, to complete homework, to communicate with faculty. And the other interesting thing is that the different colors are the different ages. And so the darker one are freshmen. So you see that in every single instance, more freshmen are doing this than seniors. So every year, a new group of students come in that are using social media more and more. So this is just where they are. And sometimes it'll change what platform they're using. You know, right now it seems like they're using Facebook less, but they're using something like Instagram a whole lot. And so, but the whole idea is that regardless of the medium, they're using these tools to and privately and with their friends and socially, but also things like completing homework and study groups and connecting with their faculty.
And that's really what this slide is all about, you know, that they are using it for more than just those personal connections.
This is, again, pretty straightforward stuff. Young adults, they've been around social media their whole life. It's how they connect with everything. The use increases. It's kind of what we were talking about the last slide. And so how are universities using social media? So online learning management systems, things like Moodle and all the other ones that the college might be getting in the future, that is a form of social media because it's a way that people are connecting online and you're able to post and you're able to respond and you're able to be collaborating with each other, even though you're not in the same physical location. And so that's kind of a way that's really starting to open the door and kind of getting faculty a little bit more comfortable with the idea of on social media, because that is kind of a entry-level way of doing it. You know, there's a million other ways that universities are using social media, promoting the same way that we saw on the LinkedIn pages, promoting their awards, promoting their achievements, promoting the research that's being done, introducing users to groups based on their discipline, you know, promoting things that are really related to their particular topic, and also creating conversations, whether it's through a blog or a wiki or commenting on YouTube videos or you know, video chatting and so forth. So it's really serving as a way to connect students with their faculty with also the outside world outside of this campus. The word of caution that I tell every especially faculty members when it relates to anything related to technology is to be aware of introducing technology for the sake of introducing the technology. You know, just because Facebook exists for your particular class, it still might not be a appropriate medium for you to be connecting with your students. The really important thing is to educate yourself on what the capabilities are for these different tools, and then using the most appropriate tool to connect with the students, right? We just learned a lot about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably not the best place to connect with your crazy uncle and share photos of your baby. That's not the tool for that. There's a different tool for that. And so, you know what the pros and cons and what the ideal audience is. And these are just some examples from that article that I'll show you in a sec, but that were real life examples that faculty members are using as assignments in their classrooms to get their students to, you know, kind of connect with them using various types of social media. So, you know, using Google Docs, creating a doc that's shared among the class and people can collaborate. I use it all the time for collaborating with people that I'm working with. It's a nice way for, rather than saving a Word doc a million times on your computer, and this is the final one. No, wait, this is the final version. No, wait, hold on, there was a typo. This is actually the final version. Google Docs just keeps all of that going. Professors have created course-specific blogs where they'll post something about a topic, whether it's related to their lecture, and then students can then comment on it, so they can respond to it, and that's sort of how their response is, rather than like a response paper. Creating YouTube channels, so you can create a channel yourself under your own account, or under the college has a YouTube account. And so you can create videos or have your students create videos and upload them. And again, they can respond through comments and so forth as well. Required tweeting. So there was a professor who had, you know, students had to tweet a certain amount of times a week. It had to be related to what they were talking about in class. He had a specific hashtag that was for their class, so that the students could, you know, one student could post an article related to their topic, and then a classmate might read that article and respond to them and say, oh, well, this was interesting, or I disagree with this, or whatever. Creating LinkedIn profiles or Mendeley accounts in the classroom, which some of us have done with students before, and talking about the different ways of writing, you know, writing something formally, taking a research paper and writing sort of in that academic tone, and then taking that same topic, but writing it for a blog, and how does that change the way that you write, the words that you use, the tone that you use, versus taking that same idea and writing a Twitter post about it, and sort of how do you change the way that you're talking, how do you address these different audiences and so forth, which is a nice kind of lesson in there are different ways to communicate, and there are different kind of levels to communicate. And so these are just some examples of how people were using it in the classroom, and all of that came from this article. And I can email this, there's only 2 of you, so I can email this very easily to you. But it was a really good article from the Journal of, I don't even remember what it was, but it was a development journal.
The Journal on International Dialogues on Education.
Oh, duh, it's like right in front of my face. Yeah, so, and it was all about social media in the college classroom, and sort of how to utilize it. And not, even if you're not in the classroom with students, it was a nice way to talk about how that generation, you know, the students that are our generation, that generation now, how they're using social media and how you can use it to connect to them in our various roles on campus. So, so yeah, that's that.